we've got quite a few rides on this horse. This is Rooster. I've shown you one video. We're going to be making another one. But while I'm saddling him up, I wanted to talk about what I look for when I get a horse in that I have not worked before, that I don't know the horse, or that a horse that I know hasn't been ridden a while. I want to talk a little bit about what I look at, because I'm pretty good at assessing the horse and knowing if I have a problem or not. And we're going to talk about that. So just standing here, he's turning his head, he's interested in the brush. That tells me that he's not scared. He's interested in what I'm doing. I want to know, is the horse scared? I want to know, what is this horse thinking? This horse is 3.5. Owner said he's been under saddle about 6 months, which I believe that. That sounds about right. But I want to assess the horse for myself. I don't ask owners a whole bunch of questions about their horse when it comes in. I'll ask a few basic things. I usually ask, what have you been doing with the horse? Have you been riding the horse recently? And what are your goals? That's pretty much the 3 questions that I ask. That's going to give me an idea of what they've been doing with the horse, whether they've been doing right or wrong. That's going to give me an idea, is the horse broke to ride or not? This horse is. But as I'm moving around the horse, I'm paying attention to his face, paying attention to his ears, but what tells me even more than that is when I put my hands on his body and I feel his body, I can tell how tight his muscles are. I can tell if he's standing here relaxed, if he's standing here nervous. The facial expression doesn't always match what the body tells me. And you can't just go off of ears, you can't just go off of eyes, you can't just go off of stiffness in the body. You have to take all of it in consideration, all of it together. And too many people get locked in on one thing and don't look at the whole picture. Now, he just turned to me to look at me, and his expression on his face told me that there was no ill intent in him looking at me. And I like that. But he could have turned to me and showed me that he didn't want me here. He could have showed me that he was wanting to push me away. He's not showing me any of that. And that's all the little things that I pay attention to when I'm assessing a horse for the first time. Even as simple as that, running my hand down and right there and touching him. He could have pulled back like he was worried about my hand coming to him. That would have told me a lot. When I drew my hand back, he could have come towards me. That would have told me a lot. If he would have drawn his head away as I went to him, that would have told me that he was afraid of my contact, which would tell me when I go to get in the saddle, I need to pay attention. He might be afraid of me getting in the saddle. If he pulls his head back to me when I take my hand away, that could mean that he just wants to be touched, or that could mean that it's a little bit aggressive. He wants to push my hand away. That's all stuff that you need to interpret correctly to get a good idea of what the horse is telling you. There are no hard, steady rules. There are a lot of clinicians out there that'll tell you there are. There are not. There are a lot of generalities. Generalities, is that a word? A lot of general things that will tell you a lot. But you have to look at the whole picture of this horse and tell you and see what that picture is telling you. Now I'm going to start picking his feet up. That's going to tell me a lot. It's going to not just tell me, can he have his feet picked up? I want to see what his attitude goes to when I ask him to pick his feet up. The fact that he can or cannot pick his feet up really doesn't make any difference to me. If he can pick them up, great. If he can't pick them up, if he don't know how, then that's something I need to work on. Whether he can or not is not a big deal in the picture of me getting an idea of this horse. What he does when I go to pick his feet up is what tells me a lot. If I go to run my hand down his leg and he shifts all his weight onto this leg, that's going to tell me he's trying to tell me he don't want his foot picked up. He knows what I'm doing and don't want it picked up. If I run my hand down his leg, and he turns to nip at me, that tells me a lot. Now, he just took a step back. That tells me that He's got his weight loaded on this foot, and he's ready to pick this one up. He understands what I'm doing. And quite give it to me like I'd like. There we go. By how he shifted this foot right here, told me that he was willing to give me his foot. Holding it right here. He's not putting any weight on me. He's not trying to pull it away. He's balanced really good on his other foot. That tells me he's had this done enough that he's comfortable with the process. Those are the things that I'm looking at, that I look at, not just will he or will he not. It's how he will do it. Now let's ask for this back foot. Now he just shifted weight to this foot. That's going to make it harder for him to pick this foot up. So what I want to do is I want to step him forward a step. See if I can, let's push him over. Set him up a little bit better to pick that foot up. Push over. There you go. I asked him to push over. He did. Now let's ask him to pick up this back foot. I'm going to stay in a position where I could get kicked, but it's less likely that it would get kicked. I would get kicked hard. Again, he picked it right up. He's staying balanced, which tells me that he's used to having that done. So if he's that balanced, that used to having his feet picked up, he's probably had some pretty decent training at some point, and a lot of other things he is used to having done. The back feet is the thing that probably people skip the most often because they're afraid of getting kicked. Normally when I have one that will pick up their back feet, there's rarely many issues in other places. There, I run my hand down his leg, he picked it right up. Now I had Maria here. Maria would give us trouble with one back foot. But that wasn't that she was really trying to be bad. She had somebody that was pulling her off balance when they picked her foot up, and she just didn't want to be pulled off balance. She wasn't really trying to be bad. She wasn't really trying to kick. Now he's turning around looking at me wondering what I'm doing. I'm standing here talking. Run my hand down his leg. He just shifted that foot. Give me this leg. And put it back down. That was pretty nice. Now, continuing on further, let's put the saddle pad on him and let's talk about what he does or doesn't do. A lot of times I'll throw the pad on from the right. One reason is because my pads are right here. But the other thing that does, most likely they haven't had the pad thrown on from the right as much as they have the left. And if there's a hole, if there's a problem, it's going to show pretty easily. And you saw how I threw it up there. I want to throw it up there like he's a broke horse. If he can't handle that, I want to know. And see, he seems pretty relaxed. I want a balance of the horse paying attention and being aware of what I'm doing, but not worried about what I'm doing. Now he's aware of what I'm doing. Stand off the rope. He is aware of what I'm doing. He's obviously not too concerned. He's looking down, chewing. That's what I want to see. Now, if I would have thrown the saddle pad up, several things could have happened. He could have kind of drew his body away from me, could have kicked at me with a back leg, could have pinned his ears at me, turned around to bite at me. Didn't do any of those negative things. Everything this horse has shown me has been positive things. Especially when I got a new horse, but all horses, I really take my time saddling them up. I saddle up almost all of my own horses, and this is why I saddle up all of the new horses. And I want to see what they tell me, and that is really important. So now let's get the saddle and throw it up there, and let's see what he tells us then. I'm going to throw the saddle up from the right also. I'll throw it up from the right some, I'll throw it up from the left some. I want the horse to be okay with either one. Now when I threw this, his body was soft before I threw it up there. I threw the saddle up there and it stayed just as soft. No tenseness, no worry, he doesn't act worried. That's a good sign. If I would have thrown the saddle up there and got an expression in his face and his eyes that he was worried, or if his body would have got tense, that would have told me a lot. Sometimes the body is usually going to tell you first what's happening, because he'll start thinking, I'm not sure, before the face, the eyes, and the ears will actually tell you anything. Body is usually going to tell you first. So his body is still soft. He's not worried about the saddle up there. Tells me he's okay with it. So this horse obviously has been saddled a good bit because he's okay with it. And I know this horse has. We've been riding him a lot. I'm mainly using him for this video for demonstration. You saw the Foxtrotter. She got aggressive when I was saddling her up. And when it's that kind of situation, you have to decide, is it aggression because she don't want to? Is it aggression because she's got ulcers? Is it aggression because she's got muscle soreness? You have to decide that. And it is your responsibility to decide that. It is not the vet's responsibility. It's not your farrier's responsibility. It is your responsibility to decide where is the issue. If you have to call a vet in to decide, is there pain? Does this horse have ulcers? Does this horse have this issue? You're not a very good horseman. You need to work on your horsemanship skills. Now you can say, okay, I suspect ulcers. Call in the vet. You can say, I suspect there's a problem in the foot. Call in the farrier. You can suspect there's a problem and not be sure. That's fine. That's great. That's good horsemanship. But if I throw the saddle up here and the horse pins his ears and you automatically say, oh, this horse has ulcers, and you jump to that conclusion with nothing else, you need to work on your horsemanship skills. So let's get a girth, and let's put the girth on and snug it up, and let's see what happens. I'm missing the girth that I normally ride him in. I think he got left in the horse trailer when we unloaded from the trip. So we're going to try this one. Now, I just did something there. I attached this girth, and I walked around this horse, and I put my hand on this horse's head as I walked around. I would have been able to feel if he was coming at me with his face because of where I had my hand. A horse that potentially has some anxiety about being girth for whatever reason knows that girth is there. And I would have been able to tell if there was any tension in that horse's face, worried about that girth potentially coming to bite at me. You saw the Foxtrotter again. She kept bringing her head to me, and I kept pushing it away. And then eventually she tried to come at me and bite. That head coming to me was telling me there's something going on here, and I kept pushing her head away. I was hoping she would get the idea with just pushing her head away, and obviously she didn't. So again, I want the horse to be aware. That step is a real big deal. He knows about the girth, and he was just getting his foot, his leg more comfortable, more comfortable for the girth. This horse has been saddled a lot. Now I'm going to get it just tight enough so that it's not going to fall off. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm not ever going to tighten this girth very tight right here, right now. I'll start walking him out and then I'll tighten it up some more. And this horse is still relaxed. He don't have a foot cocked, but I can tell there's no stiff muscles in him anywhere. It's totally relaxed with what I'm doing. Totally okay with it. Now let's get a bridle. Now one of the things, now as I said, we've ridden this horse a good bit. And we have been riding him without spurs. And he's actually been getting off of our legs pretty nice. But he seems to have a little bit of anxiety about our legs. He'll react a little bit, just a little stiffer. And again, that's reading the horse. A little stiffer, a little bit of anxiety about when we put leg on him. What I want to do today is I'm going to ride him with spurs, and I'm going to let him see that this spur is not an issue. I'm rubbing his belly right there where my foot, the heel would touch him. He don't seem worried about it. He's not even tense right there. Not worried about it there. So that tells me that we just need to go on and get him mentally more used to spurs. He don't have any physical issues at all. We just need to work on him a little bit mentally. And if you saw the first video I did of him, he rode really nice. But his owner had come off of him, and we could tell that there was a little bit of worry in the horse that he worried about the owner coming off, and that he was worried he was going to be in trouble. This horse really wants to do good, really wants to do the right thing. There is not a mean bone in this horse's body. He wants to do the right thing. He's just not always sure what the right thing is. And that's what we're showing him. Now I just adjusted this bridle. I want him to pick the bit up and hold it. You see right there, that bit's pretty loose in his mouth. The bridle is actually fairly loose. He's holding the bit. That's what I want right there. Whether there's any wrinkles are here right now, doesn't matter. He's holding the bit where he wants to hold the bit. See how much slack is in the bridle? I could probably take it up another hole, but he's doing what he's supposed to. He's holding the bit where it's comfortable. All right, so now let's walk out down the barn aisle. We're gonna walk a few steps. I'm gonna tighten the saddle. See how many, took it up a bunch there. Right, then we go ahead and take another wrap. Now we're gonna walk down the barn aisle.